Today we're talking about the Thursday part of the packet. There was a little bit of confusion on our reading workbook pages from the reader's notebook. Today it looks like maybe we have you doing the same pages twice, which doesn't make any sense. Today we're going to work on page 167. That's our only workbook page for today, page 167. And I apologize for the confusion on that one. Page 167 is about abbreviations still, and it's the days of the week and the months of the year. And then on the bottom, it is the places, the lane, street, road, boulevard, and avenue again from yesterday's lesson. So I want you to go ahead and do that page. It's the only one from the reader's notebook today because of the little confusion that we had. I also want you to write your spelling words. And today I'm going to let you write them 3 times each, send that to me, or you can type them 3 times each and send that to me in an email if you choose to do that. Or you can find some other way that you would like to write them. Some of you enjoy those spelling sentences, some of you do not. So you can make a choice on how you would like to do them. Pick any of the different ways that we've done spelling this year. We've done rainbow spelling. We did the art project the one time where we made the squiggly lines, wrote spelling words inside that. You can do them however you want to. Write a story using your spelling words, whatever you want to do, and send that to me. That will be your spelling assignment for today. And then you also have the close reader. The close reader, remember, is this book right here. And this is the book where we try to read closely and pay attention to some important words in there. Today we're reading pages 112 to 115, and our story is Paca and the Beetle. Now, this is a folk tale. It's from Brazil. Look at the map and see if you can figure out where Brazil is. This is a folk tale. And remember, folk tales are stories that have been told for a long time. They're often not written down, but they're just told verbally. They often tell how something in nature came to be. Sometimes they have a moral or a lesson at the end of the story. And a lot of times they have animals that act like people. So today I want you to read this and do this. Now, you don't have to send me a picture of the whole thing. Just send me a picture of one page. Pick the page that you want to, one of the pages that you wrote on. Send me a picture of that and just let me know that you did this part of the assignment. You don't have to send all of the pages on that. It's kind of an interesting folk tale though. So go ahead and read that and do that assignment. You need to read a chapter book for 20 minutes, just like every single day of 3rd grade. And then you also have your math packet. We're starting chapter 4, which you picked up on Monday. Chapter 4, pages 195 and 196, that's lesson 4.1. And that is multiplication by 2s and 4s. Again, you guys know your multiplication. Most of you are so good at your multiplication. But I want you to go ahead and do this review anyway. I also want you to go ahead and work on your extra math. And that's your homework for today. Shouldn't take you very long. You also have, I forgot to mention, your Producers and Consumers book. Today we're on pages 8 and 9. Pages 8 and 9 is about resources. We talked about producers. We've talked about some consumers. Now we're talking about resources on pages 8 and 9. And again, not reading the whole thing to you, but I do want you to read it and talk about with your family what you have learned from this. Kind of an interesting short part of the chapter today. So go ahead and get that read. And then I'm going to read a little bit about Virginia. And that's all that we have for today. I do want you to continue texting and emailing me all of your homework assignments. If you do that, you don't need to turn it back in at Parkside on Monday. And I also don't have a packet for you to pick up on Monday because you already have everything that you need for next week as well. So if you choose to electronically turn in your homework, you will not need to get anything from Parkside on Monday. If you choose to turn in your packet on Monday, that is fine. You can do that. You can take it to Parkside and turn it in. Just make sure that you are getting it turned in because remember, it does count. It is right now mostly review and it's also just a complete, but it does count. So we want to make sure that we get it turned in. Plus, it's just really good practice for you to get ready for 4th grade. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says November 24th, 1864. Today, Jed and Paul stayed home to celebrate the day of Thanksgiving. Jed said that over 100,000 turkeys and chickens are to be served to General Grant's army today. We do not have enough money for a turkey. Lately, we are mostly eating beans for dinner. Beans with a bit of bread. While we ate our beans today, Jed talked again about President Lincoln's safety. He says the president must have more bodyguards. While Jed worried about President Lincoln, I worried about Jane Ellen. During dinner, she became ill and had to lie down. While I worried about Jane Ellen, Paul worried about keeping his job as a woodcutter. He fears he is not strong enough. I hope God forgives us for not being very thankful this Thanksgiving. November 30th, 1864. Though none of us seems happy, we do have a daily routine now. Every morning, Paul and Jed leave for work. Jane Ellen gives me 2 hours of lessons, then she and I sew, clean, and cook. If she feels well, we shop in the market. In the afternoon, Jane Ellen lies down while I study my lessons. The sky grows gray quite early, and our rooms become cold and damp. While Jane Ellen sleeps, I sometimes feel that something awful is about to happen. I try to shake off the feeling by singing. My spirits lift when Jane Ellen lights the lamps and Paul and Jed come home. December 1st, 1864, something bad has happened. It is not truly awful, though, for no one has died. Paul hurt his back chopping wood. Jed had to help him home and put him to bed. Now what can I do, is all Paul can say. Now what can I do? December 3rd, 1864, Jane Ellen and I tried to feed Paul today, but he said he could not eat. He is in despair. He feels he will not be able to do any kind of work for many days. Paul said we made a mistake in moving to Washington City. This made Jed feel bad. He left the house, even though it was raining. Jane Ellen felt ill and went to bed. I am sitting alone in the cold, damp parlor, shivering from worry. Now what can I do? I keep asking myself. December 4th, 1864. I have the answer. I will find work. Why not? Jane Ellen is too tired to give me lessons every day. We are too poor for me to go to school. Tomorrow I will look in the Evening Star for a job for a 10-year-old girl. I dare not tell anyone until I find something that I can do. December 6th, 1864. Each night I study the newspaper that Jed brings home. I have only seen ads for errand boys, newspaper boys, and stable boys. Is there nothing for girls? December 7th, 1864. Today I finally saw an ad looking for a girl. It said, "Girl for general housework." I would rather run errands, sell newspapers, or take care of horses any day than do general housework, but I have no choice. When Paul and Jane Ellen take their afternoon naps, I will hurry to the house on Pennsylvania Avenue and apply for the job. I will pretend to be a lady when I am interviewed. I will try to use the manners my mother would have used. Paul always said my mother was a lovely lady, a real Southern belle. Later afternoon. I have a job. I went to a beautiful house with stone steps. A widow named Mrs. Porter lives there. Though she has 2 servants already, she needs a girl to do light housekeeping. She will pay 50 cents a day. I told her that I was the girl for the job. I said it simply, but without any doubt. I spoke in a most polite but firm way. Mrs. Porter laughed and said she liked my manners and my confidence. Now I must use that confidence to tell the others about my new job. I am waiting for Paul and Jane Ellen to wake up from their naps and for Jed to come home. Late evening, Paul said no. Jane Ellen said no. Jed said no too. After they'd all said no, I gathered them together. I reminded them that I am not a child. I reminded them that I am a girl who has seen the Battle of Gettysburg. I am a girl who has ridden a horse through the torn countryside and who has visited war hospitals. They must let me work for Mrs. Porter, or they will insult my courage and my dignity, I said. Paul, Jed, and Jane Ellen all looked at one another and started to laugh. What could they say after my speech but yes? December 8th, 1864. Today I dusted and ironed for Mrs. Porter. I sewed a torn pocket and darned a sock. Mrs. Porter's house has a beautiful parlor and sitting room, gas and water, a large yard, an ice house, and a carriage house. She has 2 funny cats named Isabel and Lydia. They scamper everywhere and like to sleep in her lap. Mrs. Porter is very kind. She laughs a lot and moves about like a busy bee. I am happy. I confess I prefer working in Mrs. Porter's bright, warm house to sitting alone in our cold parlor. December 12, 1864. I love walking to Mrs. Porter's house in the early morning. The paper said it is the coldest December for many years, but I don't mind. The city air crackles with excitement. Through the lamp-lit dark, newsboys shout out, "Extra, extra, Sherman marching through Georgia." Carriage horses clippity-clop over the rough cobblestones. Geese waddle, goats and hogs wander about in the early mist. Soon the gas lamps all go out. The bright cold sun rises over Washington City, and a fresh new day is revealed, like a new child, alive and kicking. December 13th, 1864, Jed told me that when I walked to work, I should keep an eye out for President Lincoln's carriage. He is often seen riding about the city with his son, Tad. How will I recognize the carriage? I asked. Jed said the president travels with about 30 soldiers on horseback. Their sabers are drawn and held over their shoulders. Jed said that the guard was posted against President Lincoln's wishes. The president pays no mind to the fact that he has many enemies. There are even days, Jed said, when the president carelessly rides out in the open on the back of his own gray horse. Young Tad rides by his side. Oh, I would give anything to see President Lincoln and Tad ride down the street on horseback. December 14th, 1864, each day my job gets better. Mrs. Porter likes me to read to her. I love to read, so this is a joy for me as well. Sometimes I read from the Bible, or I read from William Shakespeare or Sir Walter Scott. When I get home, I try to cheer everyone by telling them the news of my day. I even tell them about the stories I read to Mrs. Porter. And that's all that we will talk about today. I will see you again tomorrow.